Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Court of Swords here on RollPlay.
Hello.
I've been excited to talk about something for an entire week, so here we go. Are corn dogs the best thing that you can get from a fast food menu that's not a hamburger? Because I'm just, are they the best, like, off-menu item to get from fast food? Corn dogs. Let's talk about them.
Right. Like, if we're discounting, like, burgers and pizza and chicken. Like, we're talking about secondary menu items.
It's like secondary menu, yeah.
Yeah.
I had a corn dog today. That's why I'm asking. It's pretty good.
I'm hard pressed to think of, like, I guess it depends. Like, you know, if you're talking about like a barbecue place, then it elevates the sides options like quite a lot. But if we're talking about, like, I can't think of anywhere that I could go, a fast food joint, I could just go and get a corn dog right now.
Really?
In Vancouver. Like, I don't.
The fuck is wrong with Canada?
Like,
man.
Yeah, I can't think of a single place that I could, like, off the top of my head where I could just go, if I really wanted a corn dog right now.
Where did you go?
I think I'm shit out of luck. Yeah,
JP.
where did you go?
Where did I go? I went to, oh God, now I'm forgetting the name of it. I think it's called a Culver's. It's like, it's Culver's.
They're the ones that have the like custard, right? Is that a thing?
Yes, they do Culver's custard. That's a thing. Do you have a Sonic near you? Right. They have corn dogs. Let me think of all the corn dogs.
I was going to say Sonic is the place that I would.
Sonic's got corn dogs. A&W Root Beer's probably got corn dogs.
See, A&W. So A&W is different in Canada. It's the same brand, but the food and the drinks are all different. It's like a different restaurant in Canada. So A&W is off the list, and we don't have any of those other ones. Does Dairy Queen have corn? I wouldn't eat a Dairy Queen corn dog, I gotta say.
I think they do. They also do like steak corn dogs or whatever. Don't they have steak fingers as well? I used to get those as a kid. Those are pretty tasty.
Let's see. In Canada, Dairy Queen, you can get a hot dog, and you can get pretzel sticks, but you can't. Nope, no corn dogs on the Canadian Dairy Queen menu that I can see.
Well, I guess I'm never moving to Canada. They don't have corn dogs.
Yeah, I guess so. On this page that I'm looking at, it says menus may vary in Texas. Well, thanks. Good. That's good.
That's because Texas has all the real fat foods. It's the best place for the Dairy Queen. Did Dairy Queen start out in Texas? I feel like it did. I feel like we can claim, as a born and raised Texan, we can claim Dairy Queen.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm. I think I'm going to go out on a limb and say that.
You are incorrect. Joliet, Illinois. Illinois.
Well, no one goes or cares about Illinois.
Oh, fuck yourself. We got that shit.
No, we'll just claim it. Fuck Illinois. Fuck them. Get out of here with that nonsense.
I always equate DQ with, God, I think it was
Blizzard?
Waiting for Guffman.
What?
Yeah.
It's a Christopher Guest movie, like Best in Show, Waiting for Guffman, Spinal Tap. They're all like.
I was about to say you're burying the lead on this one. The movie everyone has heard of on that
Spinal
list.
Tap, I get it now.
You don't associate Spinal Tap with Christopher Guest, even though it was this like most popular one. Like his are more like the kind of the same group of people, like Eugene Levy and all those other people like from SCTV and that kind of shit. And they made all these movies, but you kind of have a tendency to forget about like the most popular one, because it doesn't feel like that. It doesn't feel like as weird as like Best in Show or Waiting for Guffman or whatever. But my point being, getting back to my original point.
Okay, let's go back.
It's Parker Posey talking about like it's a mockumentary style, and she says, I can always go back to DQ and work there if this whole acting thing doesn't work out.
You could.
And like it shows her 5 years later, she's back at the DQ. Like,
DQ's good.
Serving dilly bars and whatever the fuck they are.
Dilly bar. I don't know if that's a thing. Are dilly bars a thing at DQ? I've never heard.
I think it's just ice cream dipped in like a syrup, and it hardens on the outside once you take it out.
Okay, those are called dilly bars from DQ.
I think.
Yeah, they are. Yep, they're called dilly bars. Yep.
Okay.
It's just like ice cream. Whenever I think of Dairy Queen, and it took me a second to make sure I was remembering this correctly.
Go ahead.
Whenever I remember Dairy Queen, I'm like, there's a Simpsons reference buried in the back of my head, and it took me a second to like look up and see what it was. So Brandine Spuckler, who is I think Cletus's wife and or sister, there's an episode where she talks about being fired from the Dairy Queen because she refused to wear the shirt what Dairy Queen give me. And that's the reference I always think of. I'm like, I gotta wear the shirt what Dairy Queen gives me. So I think about that every time I think about a Dairy Queen.
Nice. Max, what do you think about when you think of Dairy Queen? Being that you're from the state where it was made.
Well,
true.
being the resident authority, having been born and raised in Illinois, not too far away from Joliet, Illinois, I've had my fair share of Dairy Queen.
Okay, what do you associate?
With what, Dairy Queen?
Yeah, what's your go-to association? That's what we're sharing.
It's ice cream.
You just
ice
whenever
cream
you see
cakes.
ice cream, you just think Dairy Queen.
Well, no. I'm just whenever I see Dairy Queen, I think, oh yeah, ice cream, soft serve ice cream.
Okay.
It wasn't until I was like more of an adult, I was like, oh fuck, they have other food there too. They have like hamburgers.
Really?
That's weird.
Man, I used to get their steak fingers as a kid. Growing, were the best. It probably wasn't steak. It probably wasn't even meat, but it was great.
Yeah. Well, Dairy Queens, I feel like in the Midwest, they're mainly families that go there.
Yeah.
In like the afternoon, evening to get some soft serve.
Yeah.
Kind of. They're
Where you go after the Little League game, man. Everybody gets a small blizzard.
Right, yeah.
That's true. You do.
Mm-hmm.
The old blizzard. My favorite is. Have you ever had them do the cup turn and had it drop out?
They have to.
Well, I know it's by.
Oh, I didn't know. I've never had it. No, I've never seen that.
out.
I've always wanted to. That's what you want.
Yeah.
Really. Like ultimately, buried deep within us is the urge to watch the ice cream fall out when the Dairy Queen people tip it over.
I've never.
So far, it's never happened.
Yeah. Zeke, what were you gonna say?
Same reason you go to a NASCAR event.
Right.
You don't go to see people
someone crash.
race well. You want to see them crash.
Yep.
That'd be terrifying. Have you seen those NASCAR crashes where the fucking like tires spin up into the stands or anything like that? Zeke, that shit's terrifying.
Oh yeah.
I saw a NASCAR event. I was at Talladega.
Yeah,
one of the first races at it was shortly before the Talladega Nights movie came out.
Yeah.
There are posters everywhere. My dad was a big NASCAR guy. I've been to Talladega twice, and the first time we went, we saw a car go like this, hit the warning grass, get enough airflow like underneath it, like an airplane wing, and it went.
Yeah,
and it flipped completely over on its side, and
that's terrifying.
Seriously flew for like 3 full seconds, just 1,000, 2 1,000, 3, and and just fucking, it was amazing.
I think I've told this story, but I wouldn't. We wouldn't
before
drove that.
JP, before you tell your story, while Zeke, when you were telling that story, I was waiting for it to end with the car like killing both your parents tragically, and then you becoming NASCAR man. I was waiting for the finish of that tragic backstory. I'm glad that you got out okay. I'm glad that your parents weren't tragically killed by a car and you didn't have to go and become NASCAR man.
It's always good.
What are you talking about? That isn't me. Totally not me.
Wait,
I have no idea who you're referring to.
Where did a white trash sportsman
Where'd he go?
Who is this stranger? Who's this erudite stranger?
Yeah, Zeke, you left the stream for a second. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, weird. You can't just let any random person wander on his stream, Zeke.
Yeah. Glad you're back. There's no reason to tell my story. It doesn't matter. Max, how's the move to Mixer going? Max, you having a good time over there?
Oh, it's great, JP. We love it over here. We're really
Mixer
happy.
watch.
It's all smiles here.
Good. Glad. I'm glad. What else you been up
to the point where I can't say.
Yeah, you can't say anything. Or I was like, guys, I got to do a meeting on Tuesday. Oh, you're going to Mixer. Congratulations. Like, no.
I'm going to be gone on Thursday. Same thing. And it's gotten to the point where I can't say the word mix or mixer or mixing anything without like giving a wink to the audience and being like, huh?
Yeah.
And maybe.
Yeah. It's pretty annoying, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
That's the state of our industry, I guess. Max, what have you been up to the past week?
I played Death Stranding.
How was that?
I enjoy it more than I thought I would. I kind of figured I would enjoy it though. Like I watched enough of it, of like you and some other people playing a little bit of it, just to be like, okay, I can maybe have some fun with this. What's been funny to me is like seeing everybody else on Twitch streaming it, and everyone's title is the exact same fucking thing. It's like Delivery Man Simulator.
Right. That's a go-to joke.
See what I did?
Yeah.
Mom's laugh from that 70s show there. Yeah, everybody has the same fucking title. It's like Amazon Prime Simulator.
Mm-hmm.
I've been trying not to have that as my title.
You should.
But I'm enjoying
just
it.
lean into it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's pretty cool. It at its core is just delivering from point A to point B, and how you can do that the best way possible. And I actually really like the whole like multiplayer aspect of. I mean, it's not new, right? Kind of Dark Soulsy or whatever. Where you have like limited interaction with other players and their stuff.
Yeah.
There's a lot of times though too where in my world I'll build a bridge, and someone's like in the process of building a bridge like down the way in like a shittier spot, and it's in my world, and I just go over there and dismantle it because that fucking eyesore. I'm gonna get the shit out of here.
You're the strata council of your shard.
Mine,
like,
yeah.
I'm sorry, Karen. We sent out a memo last week. There are to be no bridges of a length greater than 50 meters, and yours is 51 meters, Karen. So we're going to have to just disassemble this bridge for parts, and we're going to go over here and give it to Sharon to build her bridge, which is a regulation 50 meters. Sorry.
It's true.
Did you tell them about the root structure that is encroaching on the land here? Because that's going to be a problem later. That's part of the reason why we're moving it.
We just think it gives bad optics to the neighborhood. Okay.
Yeah. My favorite part is Chad has dubbed me just paving because all I do is make highways. So whenever I make highways, it just destroys bridges or things that is in the way of the highway, and that's a lot of fun. Because I'm just like out there ruining people's time and like in-game resources by putting down a fucking highway in the way, just taking bridges and. Yeah,
are you the great Death Stranding player that puts a sign right out of where you walk out of?
100%. 100. Why would you not?
You gotta farm the lakes.
You gotta farm the lakes. You straight up the center of every path. You just line it with signs, and every time people run through that, you get a like.
The most likes I've seen so far is outside of one of the like bases. You walk out and there's just an enormous pile of mushrooms with like 8,000 likes, and I'm like, oh cool, this is the spot everybody stops to take a piss before they run off into the highway.
I think
massive pile of likes on it.
I don't know if when you see the likes, if that's the like for that thing or if it's the person's like amount. I think it's their like amount,
like their total likes.
Because I stumbled upon a player-made house that had 1.4 million likes.
Wow.
And that's the most likes I've seen in the entire game. And so I think that's like total amount of likes. But 1.4 million. I thought I had a lot at like 60 or 70,000. Fuck no, I have jack shit compared to that guy. He's sitting on Like Mountain up there in the fucking ridiculous.
I mean, that many likes, you're going to start unlocking, like, you're going to get your Monster sponsorship in the game once you get to that point of likes.
Yeah, Monster reaches out to you as soon as you hit 1 million. That's actually what happens.
Yeah, you're the most popular person in Death Stranding.
Yeah.
Who's on the other side of this? Like, every time I don't build shit. I don't build jack shit. I don't carry materials. I don't do nothing. I just take advantage of other people's stuff, and I like the stuff that, like, if I stop to get like electricity from a little point, that's when I'll like their stuff, or they have like a safe house at a place that's like opportune or whatever. I use that shit. I build nothing. I build absolutely nothing.
Wow.
So people who haven't played Death Stranding, they don't understand this. The difficulty levels in the game are hard, medium, easy, and libertarian, and that's the level Zeke is playing on. So just take advantage of all the infrastructure everyone else has bought. Don't pay your taxes. Don't build anything yourself. Just be a parasite. Exactly. It's the easiest way to play.
I put everything in my own private locker so no one can have it. I'll like your structure if it helps me. If it doesn't, I will not.
Man. I love seeing the shared locker thing. Like, you can donate. So I'm like,
man,
like I never do that.
You guys are playing the game all year. Man, okay. I'm not gonna say you're playing it wrong, but you're fucking up. Like, what are you doing?
I'm more on your side, JP, where I like for the locker thing, I will put stuff in my locker. I could be like, yeah, this will get me some XP, but not that much. Somebody else might be able to use it. And I put it in the locker and I'm like, I wonder what someone will build with all this resin. And then I run off and do the next thing. Because it's such a weird little social interaction because you don't know if you're actually doing any good for anybody. But you put it in there. It's like putting books in those little like community library things. You're like, I don't know, probably someone will steal this and use it to start a fire. But Maybe not. I don't know.
Well,
it doesn't matter.
It'll usually tell you if someone uses something that you made, or if they take something that you take or that you put in the shared locker.
Yeah, that's true.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Sometimes they'll even tell you if they like spammed like on something. I put a random generator off to the side because some bad shit went down, and just a random generator, no reason for it to exist. It's gotten like 20,000 likes or something in the past 24 hours because I guess other idiots have like ran into the same area that I did.
Yes. A well-placed generator, 1 battery's worth of charge out from any given like city. There've been a couple of times where I'm like, oh shit, I have like an entire truck full of stuff. What am I gonna? And then you see it glowing on the horizon. You're like, all right, I can get it just to that thing. I can charge up, and I'm away to go. Yeah,
that's the cool shit in that game, man. That's
what I'm saying. I've been liking that. Liking that.
We said like a shit ton. That's really annoying.
Like.
Yeah, you have to like it.
I like it. Cool. Like.
It's a word that doesn't mean anything anymore. Like friend. Nope. It's irrelevant. It's fine.
Yeah.
I get really mad because like I see these things in shitty places getting tens of thousands of likes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I have such strategically placed buildings and I
get that
have
with
0 or 2 and I'm like, this is bullshit.
Yeah.
Something is not right and I don't know what's going on.
You're out there making that good content and nobody cares.
Dan, do you have strand contracts with people? Do you have that shit set up?
I turned that on today.
Okay, that should actually help. Yeah, if you make strand contracts with people that have a lot of likes, like history-wise, then your actual likes will go up as well. Especially if your miscellaneous stat is pretty high, that'll help as well. So, but the other thing is, likes don't matter. Like it means nothing. There's no reason for any of.
I know we put all this value on it.
It's fucking stupid.
It doesn't really do much.
It actually stresses me out because I log in. I'm like, wait a minute. I made highways for 7 hours, and there's no fucking reason for these highways now. I get absolutely nothing because people, when they repair them, they get the likes for the highway. You lose the likes, but they fucking get them for repairing this shit.
It's deeply existentially terrifying in how much talking about and playing this game feels like my life. Yeah. Like all the time. Where you're like, I struggled so hard to make a bunch of random strangers like me today. And in the end, does that matter? No, not even a little bit. Now, if other players could subscribe to me, that'd be a whole other matter. But for right now, it's only $5.99. You can use this bridge for the whole rest of the next 30 minutes.
They can subscribe, but they don't. There's no money, obviously. But they can do the strand contract shit where then they see your stuff more, or they are more likely to see your stuff. So,
yeah, the sort of friend mode stand-in thing.
Yeah. It's a weird thing. Me and Zeke will probably talk it to death for a full hour tomorrow, so we're a little bit reserved in terms of what we'll say. But yeah,
I do love like the creativity of the multiplayer in some aspects where like if a lot of players walk in the same spot, like a dirt path will dynamically form there, remove the rocks, and you can start driving on that path that got formed on the landscape and stuff.
It's crazy.
Little things like that. I hope other games steal from the ideas here in some regards, because like playing with other people without playing directly with them and make it feel like they're there but not is such an interesting, weird feeling.
Yeah,
I like it.
It's like Dark Souls pushed a little bit further, like just a tiny bit.
But it's also inverse of Dark Souls in the sense that Dark Souls, it's way easier to fuck with somebody than it is really to help with them. And if you help, sometimes you end up fucking up their shit anyway by accident. In this, there's no real way that I've seen to like hassle people. Like you can break the stuff that they made down in your like shard or whatever, but yeah, it feels way less aggressive. It feels a lot more like you're just kind of helping if you want to or not. It's not a big deal either way.
Yeah, you gotta.
I did find one way that someone really pissed me off is there's this one spot where down like where the house is down in this little valley area and it's real tight.
Yeah.
And so someone has their truck right there, right in front of the entrance, and you can't move it. You can't get around it.
People double parking outside the grocery store.
Oh man!
Like, excuse me, I want to use the drive-in. Is there? And there's nobody in the car, and the hazards are going. And you're like, can somebody move this van? I just need to get a corn dog. Can we just no?
Yeah, corn dog.
Then you gotta park your truck and get out and walk into the restaurant. It's a whole fucking thing.
I wonder, are you talking about the collector, Dan?
It's the part where you get the special thing from the special cameo.
Okay, the otter thing.
Yeah.
So the one, it's sad. I've fucking stared at this map for a long time. The one northwest of that, near the mules, the collector. Have you been to him yet? The guy that once saw the Famitsu guy. So with where he's at, I wonder if you put a bridge over the top of that, if players could actually get down there from above, or if they'd have to go up from the bottom just to like troll the shit out of them. Because everyone drops down right there, and there's like a ladder that goes down to that middle section, but it doesn't go all the way down to the bottom of that ravine. I wonder if you just put a bridge over the top of that, if it would just fuck them.
That'd be interesting.
That's the next level. Now, the next level is getting anti-likes. It's just bullying people with their structures. That's going to be the goal. Yeah. I guess you could just deconstruct that yourself if it was annoying. That's true. Anyways.
Yeah. Cars are the one thing you can't deconstruct. So the truck's there and you can't do anything about it.
That's true.
It's such a pain.
Yeah. Death Stranding.
Yeah, I'm happy that the game it's as weird as I expected it to on a like tonal and thematic level, but it's like completely cogent. It's not like weird for its own sake. It's not absurd or surreal. It's just like you don't get access to everything that's true about the universe, and Kojima does, and then you just have to figure it out as you play, which I think is really cool. It's very smart world building.
Yeah.
I was surprised because I kind of had written Kojima off as just like a head up his own ass weirdo. And I think this game is kind of turning me around on the fact that like he kind of does know what he's doing.
How far are you in the game?
Well, and so this is the thing. I'm only on like the third. I just got to the part where the game starts like being fun, according to like everybody.
Give it a couple chapters. I think you might go back on that statement.
Yeah, you think so?
Yeah.
So far it feels pretty. So far it feels pretty like there are answers to things, and he's not just winging it. But
sure,
I said,
okay.
I'm not
I'll give you
yet.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think that's what people expect when they think of surreality or absurdity, or they're like, oh, it's gonna be so weird. They're like, yeah, it just doesn't make sense, and shit happens for no reason, and there's no internal, like, he's strange and his ideas are strange, and the assumptions that he makes about how the world works are also weird, but it sounds like he's at least thought them out. Like there's some kind of structure behind all of that that he knows.
Somewhat.
Whether we get access to it or not. Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah. I just want to know if he wrote all of the dialogue, because some of the lines that are delivered in some of these cutscenes are just the dumbest fucking nonsense. It's just, it's so stupid. It's just like makes me upset having to listen to these fucking lines.
You have an example?
Yeah. Fragile saying, I may be fragile, but I'm not that fragile. That's an actual fucking line.
Yep. My favorite so far is the deadpan delivery by the vice president with the skeleton face who says, I need you to take heroin to the president. Or maybe it's morphine.
Morphine.
Like, the
It's
delivery
morphine.
of some of these, I need you to take morphine to the president. And there's just this like, no one says anything. Nobody laughs or gets confused. It's just like, okay. And then they go on to be like, the president, and then explain the thing that your character already knows, which is both my favorite and the worst part of any video game. When an NPC explains to you something that you as a player don't know, but your character should know, right?
Yeah,
They're like, and you, a 15th level fighter, would already know this, but if you pick up your sword with both hands, it'll deal more damage. And you're like, fucking, oh my God.
There's a couple lines in there where he's like, I feel like Kojima's just trolling. There's a line where Deadman, which is Guillermo del Toro's character, he starts talking about beaches, and he literally just flat out says like, I love beaches. And then he kind of like stops for a second, and you're like, wait, are you trying to say bitches? Is that what you're trying to say? What the fuck are you trying? And then he continues going on with like more beaches jokes that are, I think, innuendo, but I'm not actually sure. It's
right.
It's real weird. I mean, he put a fucking otter helmet in that when you are sitting in the water, it looks like you're jerking off. So I'm pretty sure, like, he knows exactly what you're doing. That's a weird thing. Yeah. Anyways.
Yeah.
That's great.
How many times, too, I heard Die Hard, they get skeletal.
Yeah, Die Hardman, the dumbest named character.
Every time I come out of a fucking, station to go out into the world, he's just like, the whole problem with this is it started with a Death Stranding. And then the mules decided it's a sickness. They're addicted to the grabbing packages.
You're doing it wrong. Every single time he talks, it goes, Sam. And then it says some nonsense bullshit.
Sam.
Yeah, but it's always
Sam. It's me, your friend.
It's me,
Die Hardman.
Exactly
it's me, Vice President Die Hardman.
Yeah. Oh, God.
Yeah.
That guy pisses me off with this constant tutorial message.
Yeah.
But you're heading back to that location. Why not grab an order? Why waste the time? It seems like a
Yeah.
missed opportunity. Like, I
Grab
know
an
how to
order.
play the game. I've been doing it for 20 hours, dude.
Yeah. Fucking.
I am
diehard.
going to run myself over if you
You
talk to
know-
me
you know-
one more time.
What I
Yeah.
will say is somebody who started playing a little bit after a lot of other people. The worst, most annoying fucking thing that chat does is one, obviously the basic thing of like, what is this game? Is it cool? How do you
Yeah,
like it?
sure.
But the one specific to this one is like, you're playing and you're like, oh wow, I got a lot of stuff on my back. Oh, you don't even know. It gets crazy.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of you don't even know.
You think
Yeah.
that's a lot? Oh.
There's a lot of that with this game for sure.
Yeah. The other one is every time you're in your base, there's someone who tuned in between the last time that you looked at Norman Reedus's dick and now, and they're
Yes.
like, "Look at his dick," and you're like, "I looked at his dick 30 seconds
That
ago."
one too.
And I'm not gonna look at
Oh.
his dick again.
Yeah.
And chat's just like, I haven't seen his dick yet. Do it. He does something funny. And I'm like, I know. Once an hour, we take a minute to look at his dick and get everybody caught up.
Yeah.
And chat's like, look at his dick. And you're like, God.
My favorite one, which
It became perfunctory. Yeah.
yeah, my favorite
right.
one or favorite thing to do with Norman Reedus in the private rooms that I didn't know existed until I watched Max stream it was when he pulls his fucking toenails off. Have you guys seen that?
Yes. Yeah.
Because
Ugh.
that's
God,
fucking
I found that
terrifying.
right away, right at the beginning. It's awful.
Yeah. If you walk around without shoes, apparently his feet get bloody, and he'll put his foot up on the thing and just rip his big toenail off right there
Yeah.
on the camera. And he like
He does both of them,
winces.
too.
Yeah, he'll do the
Oh,
other foot as well. It's fucking
You
crazy.
mean walk around outside without shoes?
Yeah. Take your
Yeah.
shoes off and get your feet bloody.
Oh.
So they like
Okay.
take damage and then go inside the private room and he'll fucking rip his
Okay.
Yeah,
toenails
just
off.
John McClane, a couple of missions, and you'll get to see this beautiful
So now,
animation.
yeah.
It's not good.
Every time I go into the private room, it's like, I'm going to rip his toenails off. And I look down and there's nothing there. So I get sad. I eventually will one day rip his toenails off. But
You got to commit to it.
yeah. There's been some fun things too where like if you go to soothe baby will like knock and break through the glass with its head and like shatter the glass and come running at you and shit. That's fucking weird. If you look,
Awesome.
if you look at the feet, like a random skeletal guy will jump up from the bottom and grab your feet and shit. It's kind of weird. So
My favorite little detail so far, and like I'm not that far in, but Kojima's really good about this. He always includes these weird little details, but my favorite so far is when your baby is like kind of upset or kind of mad, and you take a leak, and the baby thinks it's funny and feels better. So if the baby's
I haven't
upset
had
and
that.
you piss, the baby will start giggling and it'll raise the bar, and the baby will be like, "Ha ha, peeing, it's funny," and then the baby feels better. So you can do both. Yep,
well,
that's good stuff.
that's been our 30 minutes on Death Stranding.
It's a preview for tomorrow's show.
Tune in
Yeah.
for 3 hours of it tomorrow.
Yeah, God, there's a lot to
You
unpack.
buy Monster Energy Drink.
Right, yeah. Jesus
Monster,
Christ.
unleash the beast.
I wish they had catchphrases in the game. I wish there was some sort of
You-
like jingle that played when you drank Monster. That'd be great. Be super into it.
Every time.
Yeah.
This shit brought to you by Ride on AMC
Yeah.
with Norman
I don't
Reedus.
really
No,
care
it's not
about
like
that.
that. There's no audio. It's
It
just
doesn't-
like fake fart noises from a motorcycle. That's all.
It doesn't bother me.
No,
I-
You
I
know, so
said
you know
that
the
every
story. I had
time.
to-
Oh, okay.
I'm
okay.
telling
I
you,
had to
I
explain
made
it.
the advertisement.
Gotcha.
I explained this in chat, and I don't know if everybody knows this, but you know why there are it's not just an ad, but you know why there's motorcycle noises when he's in the toilet, right? Like that's a Japanese thing.
Oh, yeah.
Japanese toilets, like public Japanese toilets have a button you can press to like make sounds. They play rain or they play music or whatever.
Hide you
And
cooking.
it just happens they picked a bad one because like you said, motorcycle noises do kind of sound like he's just having some
That's
gastrointestinal
Kojima
problems.
bullshit, right? I mean, it's the same thing with
Yeah,
the,
right.
the fucking
Is it
starter
farts? Is it a
helmet.
motorcycle?
Yeah,
I don't
that's-
know. Yeah.
It's the whole thing about
Dude,
like,
and people
Metal Gear
talk
Solid
about
pooping.
like this was one of the things that, like the blatant advertisement that came up. It's like this is a Japanese game thing. Like if you've ever played
Yes.
Yakuza, like any coffee you
Mhm.
drink in the game, any energy drink like Boss,
Yeah.
Rainbow, like
Yeah.
all of that shit is shameless plugging. You just don't realize it because it's Japanese brand stuff.
Exactly. I mean, Calorie
'Cause
Mate
it
was in
seems
like
fic-
Metal Gear 2 or 3 or
That's
something
right.
like
It
that, yeah.
seems you're right. Like it seems fictional to you because it's unfamiliar enough that you're like, it blends into the background, but monster is an American familiar brand object. So we're like, there it stands out much more aggressively. That's a great point.
However, you better believe every morning I woke up in Japan, I got myself a boss coffee hot from the vending machine every morning. Because I was like, I'm Kiryu drinking boss in the middle of the Japanese streets. Woo!
Is it good?
What you're describing right now is how advertising works.
Yeah.
Yeah,
pretty much.
Yeah.
Before we do the recap, we have a date and a time for Dan's one shot.
Oh yeah, that's right. The Dan shot.
I don't know how much else Dan wants to share about the story, but all 5 of us will be there. Dan's going to be GMing, and the rest of us will be players. It's going to be on Sunday, November the 24th at 6 p.m. Eastern. I made sure, Dan, after we went through the Twitter DMs about 5 times to make sure this was correct.
Yeah.
But it's all good. So you can tune in for that. Any do you want to tease anything, Dan, or are we just going to leave it at this?
It's going to be a very dark world with lots of blood, like the thing shows. So it's going to be not a very pleasant world to be in.
Would you say it's going to be dark times?
Dark times, back when the Jedi were in the dark times.
Wait, no, that's the wrong thing. Yeah.
I was gonna say, quick, no one mentioned either Sonic or the Mandalorian. We are out of time and don't have the time to discuss those things.
Yeah. Sonic, I think, is better change. We can all agree on that. And no, Zeke doesn't think so. Zeke liked it beforehand.
No, I had a question. About it. About that I asked JP, but I wasn't sure. And feel free not to answer whatever. But are we vampires?
Oh, the one shot. I thought you were talking about Sonic. Yeah.
No. No. You're not going to be vampires. They're just
okay.
Ravenclass is the name of the main city in the area we'll be in. But it's ruled by vampires. But vampires are kind of rare in the environment. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And can I play a half vampire, half orc, multi-class barbarian?
Shut up!
Plus
Shut
also,
up! Shut
I homebrewed like a new magic weapon, and I was thinking maybe I could start with it. It's a +5 sword, and it shoots 10 magic missiles.
Sure, but your character just died. You need to roll a new one.
Yeah.
He's learned.
I got to play the best character.
He's learned. He figured it out.
Yeah.
So yeah.
By the way, that was a play on new players oftentimes want to fuck with the rules as soon as they, pick up the game. They're like, "Oh, can I make a half dwarf, half dragon?" You're like, no, don't do that.
I can't do that.
I'm gonna let you know. Don't do that.
Stop it. Just stop. Yeah.
So yeah, that'll be a thing. We'll be putting it out there on Twitter, and we'll be sharing that. So we'll hope to see everyone not this upcoming Sunday, but a week from Sunday. So yeah, let's do a recap and see what happened on last week's episode, and then we'll get into this week. So Adam, take it away.
Previously on Court of Swords. A pitched battle with the ghosts of the past result in Berg making a brief and uncomfortable visit to heaven, and Ramus repelling all but one spirit, the ghost of the old man. As the battle comes to an end, it slips in and possesses Berg. Our barbarian friend has been hijacked. Maharib, in the fortress of the Embers of Imix, has a conversation with Vani, shaman of the flame, walking the cold halls at night and relaxing in the volcanic saunas of the lower fortress. He tells her about his adventures in the void. She encourages him to seek community, but the axe plagues Maharib with murderous nightmares. 10 Pillars and Gravedirt have a meeting planned, but Sen reveals himself to 10 Pillars as an objector to Heaven's rule, a god of some kind looking to correct the three-wheeled wagon of human destiny. He believes the Mara represent a much-needed erasing of the past. 10 Pillars doesn't agree. He assists Gravedirt in examining the corpse of Amira, something of a dark miracle she's very curious to learn more about. Pillars asks if there's any hope for peace, and unequivocally, Gravedirt denies it. Death, and the Mara who seem to serve that force, is an inevitability. 10 Pillars assures her he will deliver her message to the Court of Coins. Back at the fortress, Maharib prepares to leave, but is interrupted by the arrival of a saucy old friend.
All right, let's talk about Doug and his noodles, and also Pervy Bird.
I was gonna say, so yeah, we'll do goals and stuff, but obviously the episode starts with Maharib putting on his like techwear suit and Doug is in a little glass case floating in fluid hanging from his chest, and the two of them have to run from the fortress back to the monastery.
Yep. Adam, I'd like to build a bridge. What should I roll for that?
He's floating in a container of broth. It's perfect. So let's do goals. Max, you still have the goals of your you have the so you've been possessed handout, so you still have the goals of that creature. And then for everyone else, I think I just needed goals from 10 Pillars.
Yep.
So I have aid Berg in finding the third part of the regalia, and then I have 2 blanks. You know what you want to
get a message to the Court of Coins, if I can, by bird or by psionics or whatever it's called, scrying or whatever.
Okay.
If I can figure out a way to do that, and then if this is a very long-term goal, so it's just a goal to more of a placekeeper than an actual something I can accomplish
if it's a long-term goal, as long as you throw some energy at it, you'll be able to get working on XP.
Well, not only that, but I want, in case I stop playing 10 Pillars of Gold at any time soon or whatever, I want that to be a long-term goal for his NPC or whatever, his sidekick.
Yeah, sure.
And sense. The long-term goal is free the orcs of the Court of Swords and conscript them to the army of the court.
Okay. So the orcs of the Court of Swords, you said?
Well, I know it's illegal, but making it enforcing that law on outliers, like the dwarves who still use them and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like,
so there's this
in the coming battle, we're going to need all the help we can get.
There's this weird uncomfortable thing where it's illegal to keep slaves of any kind because it stops. The only people who can tell you what your destiny is are the gods, and so enslaving someone or enslaving their children or whatever hijacks their destiny for the purpose of man. So it's illegal and it's a sin against the soul, but there are diplomatic reasons why the various courts have kind of looked the other way when it comes to dwarves, because the dwarves had their own pre-existing kingdom and they now live inside the various courts, right? Because the courts control the whole world, but they're allowed to continue this like ancestral practice that's like pretty nasty. So yeah, that kind of reform, like basically enforcing the law amongst these other cultures or amongst the dwarves is like a thing you could do. Yeah.
And that it lies within the bigger plan to empower Berg, make him a figurehead, use him as a leader, the tip of the spear, so to speak, in fighting, because he can tell, like, even if he's not a leader, he can tell stories about like how bad this is and what's going on and that kind of shit. That's what 10 Pillars kind of wants to do, and that's why he's sticking around Berg, so he can kind of, manipulate that.
Yeah, sure. That makes sense. Okay, cool. Well, the tip of the spear you're thinking of and the tip of the spear that the entity that is in control of Berg's body is thinking of, they're going to be two different concepts right now, but we'll see how
the tip.
The next conversation 10 Pillars has with Berg is going to be very weird. Like, Berg, you're acting different. Please stop. Take your hand off my thigh. We're trying to talk. Yeah, I'm into it. All right, so let's talk about Maharib. So your plan, has it changed at all? Like, because I don't think we need to do the, like, you meet Doug and you're like, Doug, you should come with me. And Doug's like, I don't know. I'm gonna do the whole rigmarole there. Like, I think if you want to start with Maharib and Doug coming back to the monastery, we could do that. I'm ready for you to rejoin the party if you are.
What do
you think?
Well, let me ask you. Yeah, I'm ready to join the party, but I would say that Doug probably should just stay with the Embers and like he should make his noodles there and hang out.
Yeah, you want to? Okay, so that's the decision.
Because traveling with me is like it's just there's a chance he'll die and all that nonsense.
Yeah. I mean, Doug came all this way to see like you and Berg, and I guess Ramus also. But like he traveled all this way. But if you're like, no, Doug, it's too dangerous for
it's
you.
not safe.
I have to go.
You're walking into like the necromancer's army. Like, who knows what's gonna happen? You should stay here. We'll definitely be back in the future.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, Doug probably tries to argue like, look, I came this far. What's another day of traveling? And I didn't even have you to protect me. And also, like, I've been making noodles for like 20 years, man. I've seen some shit. I'm not scared of some Mara cultists. Like, you don't even know. You haven't seen. I worked in the Capitol. I did the night shift. You don't even, man. People coming out of the Temple of the Lovers at 4 a.m. looking for noodles. I've seen things you wouldn't believe, man. But if you think that Doug is safer in here, he will work on his hot noodles. He'll work on his 10-10 men, and you can go and you can call for him at another time. But he'll be a little disappointed. That's okay. You're allowed.
Doug should stay there. I tell Awoot to elevate him to #1 chef in the Embers of Emix, and he can make noodles for the entire army. Or whatever, the entire Embers of Emix.
Can you do me a favor? Can you roll a persuasion check?
I knew that was coming. Sure. I'll roll persuasion. I don't have inspiration, but I'll still roll persuasion.
Okay.
Hey, 17.
Oh, not bad. All right. So instead of having Doug follow you in secret,
right.
I think the opening shot would be Vani, Awoot, and Doug all standing at the gates to the fortress, like waving, like, have a good trip, come back, be safe, right? All like waving to you as you leave the fortress and head back. So yeah, you'll arrive. You cross the terrain, like I said, at your pace. You know, now that you've made the trip once, you're maybe already starting to imagine, and this fits nicely with what you've been up to all week. You're starting to imagine where like a road might go between the monastery and the Embers. Because right now there's a lot of like kind of clambering. You got to do a lot of switchbacks and stuff to get up into the mountains. But you can kind of see where, with a little time and work and some like crews to help you, you could make a road that would lead between the two, and it would make it so that everybody could travel as quickly as you can between the two locations. But the actual trip itself, besides being hot and dehydrating and not all that much fun to make, it's not dangerous for you. At least you avoid getting into any trouble on your way back.
Great.
So you can arrive kind of whenever.
Okay.
Meanwhile, though, in the monastery, Ramus and Berg, you spent basically your entire last episode killing ghosts. So let's start with you. What are you guys doing? You've cleared out the library of the ghosts that were down there, and can now access it if you like. Gravedirt either hasn't, I guess she's busy, so she hasn't noticed that someone has like broken the seal to the library and gone in. So where do we start with the two of you? You're either together or if you have something you want to do apart. I'm happy to start with either Ramus, Berg, or both.
Last we left off, right? I was helping Ramus look around for books and stuff. I don't know if we had made the decision to leave the library. I don't remember if we.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter. It can be an amount of time later. We're intentionally a little loose with time because the party is split up. So This is basically just the first shot, right? We fade in, and it can be anywhere. It can be right after, or you're still in the library. It could be later. It doesn't matter.
I think Ramus you'd be doing two things during the week that Mahari's been gone. One is like making notes about what people like from religions and don't like, to try to tailor harmony to reach as many people as possible.
You're doing like focus groups for your new religion. Brand testing. It's so good. When you think of the color blue, which of these 4 adjectives would you use to describe it? Testing out logos.
1 to 10. 1 to 10. 10 being I loved it. 1 being
There's
not
no
so
wrong
much.
answers here. It's okay. We're just everyone's.
Did you like sleeping together as a community? No wrong answer. No wrong answers.
Yeah, exactly. On a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you value having your own name versus having a name assigned to you by some kind of cult leader? Which would you prefer? Strongly agree? Agree? Disagree? Okay, so you're asking, you're going around and like interviewing. Like, tell me how you're doing this. You're interviewing the people that are around, but what other stuff are you doing?
I'm observing people that are worshiping, whether it's the 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 main religions or people that have come from uh, elemental religions, like that flocked here, like as refugees. That some are still worshiping in their private moments. I'm observing like how they're
Mhm.
worshiping, what they do, how they interact with each other, what their values
Yeah.
are, so I can like try to make a picture of what religion is to people of different
Yeah, it sounds like
types.
you're doing research. So why don't we just use that same model that 10 Pillars did? It's funny because the camp has all these like inquisitive PCs in it now. Like, who is this person that is dressed differently than everyone else around who's asking me all these questions? Oh, here comes another PC with money ready to ask us questions. So let me look. You can basically spend money on like bribes and food and paying focus groups. And in exchange, you get to make a roll to learn things about this stuff. So you have to spend 50 gold to make the roll. Do you have 50 gold that you can use to make this roll, Ramus?
I have 4,200 of the void currency. Is there some way I could have converted that to someone?
Yeah, did the vein have some kind of like currency exchange?
Like an
that's
airport,
an,
I
I
can just
think
dump them.
so. You have 4,200 or whatever in gold, but it's not really gold. You never got money. I think a percentage of that is
Yeah.
money, and it's now like functionally like let's call 25% of that temporarily unusable currency. So let's see, 4,200 4,200 minus 75%. So mark off, set aside about 1,000 gold and say, this isn't really gold, this is void currency, and it's not worth anything unless you go back to the void or it becomes worth something. So you have that. The rest of it, the other 75%, that was goods. So you have like clothes and gems and jewelry, and those things are still valuable. They hold their value here. And so you can absolutely like give out stuff. So what's funny is that anyone else who's paying attention, like 10 Pillars, for example, over the course of a week, you notice more and more, according to how much Ramus wants to spend, you notice more and more of these like peasant soldiers, but they're kind of blinged out. So you'll notice a guy who's like, digging a latrine trench and he's got a gold necklace with like rubies on it. Right? Like it's suddenly there's this inflow of expensive objects into the camp.
He's got rings that say like surf life on it and stuff like that.
Right? Yeah, like it's weird. Exactly. And like suddenly like you see people with like this stuff and it's weird stuff. Like it's void jewelry and void clothes. So you would see somebody wearing like a beautiful silk coat, but it's made out of like a strange kind of luminescent like color, and like suddenly everybody's just like slowly getting weird stuff. So how much are you gonna spend, Ramus? You spend 50 to start, and then another 100 for each +1 bonus you want to get, up to 600 total.
All right, I would spend 600 then.
Yeah, you're gonna spend that 600. So spend 650 total to get the roll going. You're gonna make an intelligence check, which is just your intelligence stat, +6. Okay. All right. You got a 5. Ramus, your natural business is slowing down, but you do get an 11. So that gives you 2. The bonus gives you +6. So that gives you 2 important answers to the question that you are trying to answer. Like two important pieces of information about religion gleaned from these people. So what 2 questions do you want to learn the answer to from these people? Alternately, you can re-roll if you want to use one of your lucky rerolls, because it applies to these.
I'll just leave it as is and take the 2.
Because the best you can do is 3, so you're only 1 shy.
I would like to know 2 things that the elemental religions and the arcana share, like something I noticed between the 2 separate religions that they both have in common.
Right, because you do kind of have this anthropological crucible here in that there are these like people who come from villages that are so backwater that heaven never really held on. Like they're still following the same 10,000-year-old religion from before. And they were kind of like, nah, heaven's fine. We're not interested. We'll just keep worshiping this tree. So you have those people. You have people who were followers of heaven, right? Who believed in it and so adopted that religion and have been following it. And then you also have this sort of new religion of the Mara. So you have access to a bunch of people, even though they're not maybe like high priests of this stuff, they do have experience with it. So yeah, okay. So the thing that the people that worship the Arcana and the people that worship the primordial religions have in common is the idea that the things you do in life affect your afterlife. So what you are doing in life, your life matters, not necessarily because of what happens in your life, but you will be judged or rewarded or whatever. But the things you do echo into your next life. With heaven, it's a literal reincarnation where your sins are tallied or whatever. And it's like, well, you did great this time. Next time you get to be a human, or, well, you didn't do so great. Go be a weasel for a couple of lifetimes and we'll see what happens. But with the primordials, it's more like you're a drop in a pond. And while you're small and a single drop might not be much in terms of the whole pond, you can still create ripples. So there's this sense of divine causality that exists in both. Like what you do matters, even if it doesn't matter today or here.
Okay.
And then you have one other truth of religion question you can ask me.
The other thing is what benefits from religion do people expect? Like when they follow this religion, I'm getting this in return, like in this life.
Yeah. Man, I love episodes like this where it just gets to be like, let's talk about imaginary theology. People expect from religion an answer to the questions that their senses cannot answer for them. This idea of why do things happen? Why do they happen the way that they happen? Why do they happen to me? Why is my neighbor rich and I am poor? They want to understand that there is an order to things, that things happen a certain way for a reason. And they want to feel like, even if it's not certain, even if maybe it's like, you may never get a chance to change this, they need to feel like somewhere down the line they can, right? And that's why that idea of like the things you do matter, even if they don't matter today. You can die poor and alone and miserable, but if you lived a good life, maybe you'll get that payoff in the next one. So people expect not necessarily like a transactory reward, not like I was good, give me this. They want answers. And then deeper than that, they want a sense of connection to each other, right? So you notice that even though technically people have they've come to this camp, they've been re-educated to give up their old religion, they still kind of hang out in groups around cultural and religion lines, right? So like the people that hang out together are families first, locative second, right? We're all from the same village, and then religion third. And so there are groups of people who still are like, well, yeah, we worship a giant tree. Oh, that's cool. In my village, we worship this nest of snakes. And they're like, okay, cool. So they all kind of hang out together, and it creates a sense of community along behavioral lines, right? What is and isn't okay, and it ties the people together that way.
Awesome. Ramus is taking notes as he's making religious texts for religion.
It's interesting to me watching Ramus build this religion because the way you're doing it, like with this intentionality, is a lot less like Moses and a lot more L. Ron Hubbard. Like you got kind of like a Scientology Mormonism thing going where you're like, what do people like about religion? My religion is only the things you like about religion. You should worship my religion. It's the best. TM. Yeah, I like it. Yeah, it's good. Cool. Okay. All right. So you're learning why people, and this is the thing, is that you were raised in this place. And this is such a great moment for Ramus because you were raised in this environment, But you were raised to be a product of that religion. And now here in your childhood home, in the ruins of that temple, you're building your own religion. And that's quite cool. That's a nice like kind of cycle for Ramus. I'm into it.
Yes.
Cool. Okay. So you're doing that. We've lost our barbarian temporarily, but I'll ask the ghost that is possessing Berg what he's up to when he gets back. So Zeke, why don't we check on you? You last time we saw you, we saw 10 Pillars of Gold. He was having a conversation with Grave Dirt.
Whoops.
And you had just been told the thing that you have come here for, you cannot have.
Right.
There will be a peace between the Court of Coins and the army of the King of Black Rivers, but that peace will be the peace of the grave. It will be the peace of the dead, and it will come, and it is inevitable. So that's what you've been told. So what do you want to do? Where do you go?
Well, did I'm assuming I didn't make this mission, this trek, this journey on my own. Like I had like some people, like a caravan or something, or did I?
No, you're on a secret mission. No one else can know about this. Yeah.
Okay. So I came here on my own.
Intelligence risk. Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know if there was like a handful of people that were trusted that I would go with or whatever.
So there's a network, right? Like we talked way back at the when you first got this character, how you're like a little James Bond, right? A little bit like Jason Bourne, in the sense that you have like a bunch of different documents to fake who you are, and you had safe houses and like friends along the way, because the Court of Coins intelligence network is the best of all of the courts, right? So there are agents in every kingdom, even if technically they're not supposed to be there. So you were passed through operative to operative to get down here, and now you're deep in enemy territory. You're a CIA agent in the Vietnam War, basically.
Gotcha. Well, I inform whoever needs to be informed that I will be taking my leave from this place, from this camp, or from this town, whatever you want to call it, in a couple of days, and I'm going to ask around, because it's really no secret to Grave Dirt. I mean, that's what we agreed upon, that I would get the message back to them. So, depending on how clandestine she wants that to be, I'm going to try and get the message out via magical means or whatever. And if that doesn't work,
I think Grave,
if I can't find a way,
Grave Dirt's assumption is that you are done here, that you're going to be leaving their company and heading north.
Okay.
Yeah, I think she assumes you'll be delivering the message in person, but that's up to you to do. You know, you can do whatever you want. You don't actually have to do that.
Right. Do you know how many days it took me to get here?
It took you like 6 months to get here.
Oh, really?
Like,
okay. So
it's not even that you're far away. It's just that the supply lines and stuff disintegrate very quickly after you reach the border. There's a thin strip of territory in the north of the Court of Swords that is still technically Court of Swords controlled. But once you left that, it was like months in the jungle, right? Moving from village to village, following leads, until finally you found this place. And you didn't even really consider this the end of your journey until maybe right now, because your real goal was to like get in touch with the people in charge. But you're realizing that hole goes deeper than maybe you have the power to follow right now.
Right. Yeah. Then I think my first order of business would be to get in touch with Ramus and Berg. And because Ramus is at least a friendly face that can use magic, that might have a way to communicate over great distances, or even a way to like get me, like teleport me further than I could normally on foot or whatever.
Yeah, Ramus is clearly a powerful magician of some sort. Yeah. Okay. So Berg and Ramus, are you still staying with 10 Pillars in the like guest suites of the main house, or are you staying in the barracks among your hopefully new followers?
Given, I think we start in. I'm in there with most of the time, but as I'm start building up like a posse of people that are protecting me and like getting me like beds and stuff, I don't mind going into the barracks now as much. So I think it just depends. Like if it's later in the week, then I'm in the barracks. If it's early in the week, I'm in the room with 10 pillars.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, there'll come a time where Ramus will have to figure out in his religion, is he the kind of like distant leader, or does he live among his people? Right. Like it's an angle. So I think some Chai, she's the stand-in for your goons. So she'll be around you anytime you need her for anything. And then everybody else, I think they're mostly concerned with fulfilling their job, right? Digging trenches, fixing up the monastery. That's the big project. And then spending 6 to 8 hours a day in the re-education school, being taught the new way of things. So I think probably 10 pillars, you find Berg and Ramus in the suites. Maybe you come back in the evening, you find them there. Ramus is doing some writing. Berg, what are you doing when 10 Pillars comes back to the room that you and Ramus are staying in? Max? Oh, okay. Sure. Something's going on. All right. So let's say Berg, we don't see Berg right away. So 10 Pillars, you come back and Ramus is there like writing, because that's the conversation you want to have. And then Berg can walk in whenever Max is ready. Yeah.
Sorry, it's weird audio stuff happen.
No, it's okay, man.
So if I were to like see you doing something, Ramus, what would you be like writing your religious text and that kind of thing if you were in your own room?
Yeah, I'm writing things down. I have this old tattered wizard book over here, and I have a bunch of notes I've hand scribbled that look really nasty because they've been through some terrible stuff. I've been keeping notes from my journey, but yeah, I was all spread out, and I'm like thinking and just like, that's yes, like that. Oh, that sounds great. Just sitting there with myself, just writing and talking.
You probably just hear like a little knock on the open door. Sorry, if I'm interrupting you.
Oh, not at all. You come on in.
And I look at what's laid out just because that's, second nature for me, just to get my surroundings. Do I get a sense of what you're doing? Like, if I were to look at all these books that are laid out, what kind of a feeling would I get from them?
They look like journals, so maybe I'm like compiling my journal into a single place or something. It's all like notes written from a journal style, like light everywhere.
Yeah. Oh, writing your life story. Quite a book. I don't miss my guess.
Something like that. Stories, unlike most stories, almost all of this is true. A couple little polish here, a little detail swap there, but most of it's true. Just trying to collect all my thoughts.
I'm just imagining a book with like the Court of Swords, like that logo, the one that's over there in the corner, but instead of the sun face, it's Ramus's face, like the scary baby from Teletubbies, and it says Court of Swords, a Ramus Krill story. Like this is Bilbo writing The Hobbit, right? Like there and back again. Ramus is the best.
Sorry.
A Krill holiday. Yes, I would say that every story I've ever heard that was any merit had its basis in truth. But of course, you can clean up the edges. I had an audience with Gravedirt, and it went about as well as you'd imagine. Very confident in their position. They think that the Court of Coins and all of the courts will fall, and fall easily if I don't mistake their arrogance. And I'm wondering if you think their arrogance is well-founded.
Well, when you think about it, they've already conquered most of the Court of Swords. Like the armies, the power that was here was not meager. They've already accomplished a lot. So they're probably thinking very highly of themselves that they've accomplished such a great feat.
What do you think, Ramus Krill? Do you think they have the power?
I think that if there's not a unified front to face them, they will take over everything.
My thinking exactly. That's why I took such an interest in your large, angry friend. Someone like that, who we could prop up as a hero of legend. And if we could get
Again? Oh my god.
I was to say, Ramus, is there any reaction to that? Because
Yeah,
you've watched Bird get propped up as a superhero like a half dozen times now.
I say it out loud without realizing it. Just like, again?
Well, this time he would have the reach and the coin of the Court of Coins backing him up. He would have to do very little except appear and show up. We would have control over where he would be, things he would say, if anything. He probably wouldn't have to say much. Probably just have to be the face of the movement. And if we need the orcs of the land be on our side, I couldn't think of a better person to lead that charge. But that's a long time in the making. I don't know if we have enough time. They're moving fast and they're motivated. Speaking of that,
Wow.
I told Gravedirt I needed to get a message, or I would deliver her message to my superiors at the Court of Coins. Do you have any manner of sorts to get a message across great distances, or perhaps get a person across great distances?
Person, not right now, but message, yes. I do have the power to send a message even across the other realms if needed.
I knew you were the right person to come to.
Right.
But it has to be me to somebody. I can't do it for you. Like, you'd have to give me the message, and then I give it to them, and they give it back to me.
10 Pillars, have you ever had an audience with any of the high priests? So in the capital, there's these this lavish temple complex where the sort of high minds of each of the Arcana churches basically work and live. Have you ever had an audience with any of them before?
No. There's always a buffer between me and them.
Yeah.
There's always
yeah.
I have a handler.
Yeah.
So to speak.
So you're getting, can you make an insight check for me? And this isn't you reading Ramus. This is you reading a moment, because I feel like 10 Pillars is one of those people that has their finger on the pulse of history, right? Of like the feeling of like patterns. Like I said before, you're like I said, a CIA analyst, right? So I'm curious about something. Yeah, make that insight check. Okay, 19. Okay. So good. Very good roll.
Actually, it's a 23.
But minimal. That's right. Minimum 23 for you.
Reliable talent.
You being in the presence of Ramus Krill, I think you feel, and this is purely just like a hunch, right? So this isn't logical. This isn't putting stuff together, but you have a gut feeling that with the right hype man, basically with the right person to like guide them, Ramus could be like a big deal, Ramus obviously has power. He has this sort of like weird, arrogant charisma to him, and with like the right nudging and the right person to like organize and get him like squared away, he could be very influential. He could be very powerful. But he's unpolished, right? He has this sort of crass thing where, you know, if you put him in front of like powerful people, they'll immediately recognize him as like not one of their own. It's not like a Dr. Dolittle type situation or whatever, right? Where you're just like, you know, the rain in Spain falls mainly on the plain. You don't need to like teach Ramus to be a member of high society, but you can see a future where Ramus, despite being powerful and influential, gets ignored by people in power because of the way he acts. So that is a thing that occurs to you.
Yeah. Well, what to do with that information? Like,
yeah, right.
I think I interject before. Like,
okay, yeah, please go ahead.
I see a little problem with your plan, though, with the orcs. They'll never follow your religion that you preach. They hate it. And they would never give up their own. If only you knew someone who could use their religion for your benefit.
What are you suggesting, Ramus Krill?
My plan is to create a united front against the Mara. Not just of warriors, not just of soldiers, but of the hearts and the minds of the people, all the people. The ones you dismiss in the backwaters who worship the elementals, the orcs and their tribal religions. I want to unite them all.
Would the term Messiah be something that I would like a Messiah story?
No, I think
nothing I would be
no,
aware
because
of?
it's like there's no religion, like monotheism isn't a thing. Messianic religions don't exist in the Court of Swords, I don't think, because it's so like populist, right? It's not about one person like rising, and in that way, like they're obviously important people, but yeah, it's not. That's like a Judeo-Christian thing, and I don't think it's really present as a thing. Heroes certainly, bodhisattvas, right? Enlightened saints, but no like one figure, yeah. Yet anyway.
What you're suggesting, Ramus, has never been done. It's never been attempted. You might be able to unite the orcs, but the baker, the leather worker, the blacksmith, none of them would shed their old time beliefs for this new one that you propose. Do you think you have you thought this out? Have you thought this out completely? I understand uniting behind one flag in order to defeat a greater evil. But you're talking about changing the structure of beliefs for everyone, heaven, the arcana. Do you think you've taken a spoonful that's too big for your mouth?
Ramus has a very big mouth.
that is
true. You clearly don't know me very well, friend.
I have swallowed big spoons, I think. I know. Trust me, I know how deeply ingrained the arcana is in the people. It would be a tough sell. But we're not in normal times. Cities are falling. Heaven's doing nothing to stop them. Desperate people turn to solutions, answers when they have to. And I believe that what I am doing is for the survival of mankind. I don't think mankind will survive if we keep worshiping heaven and its ways. This may be our only hope to go on as a people. Because once the Court of Corns falls, and it will, then the Court of Wands.
So
Then
you do believe that the Court of Coins will fall to this
if
king?
they stay arrogant and believe that they can stop this unstoppable force by themselves, then yes, they will. This is a problem that has no answer that is easy, or any answer that's been used before. The Mara expect the court to follow heaven's battle plan, and that's where we will surprise them.
I think this would require a lot of planning, a lot of coercion, a lot of gold.
This would be
I'm trying to
single-
picture the idea of you, Berg, perhaps your very large friend, a group of people uniting all of the different factions, the different races the court has. You, a human, him, an orc, a large fellow, whatever he is.
I ain't never seen one of them before. Yeah, because like the court of the like northern and northwestern parts of the Court of Coins have mountains, but I don't think you've ever seen a Goliath before. Not in the capital, anyway.
Right. I mean, I would probably assume some sort of giant kin, but
yeah, you're smart enough to put the pieces together. Yeah.
Yeah. What would be even more beneficial is if we had a dwarf, possibly one of those I would know what a tiefling is, yeah.
Yeah, tiefling is like a
we've discussed
common. It's kind of like with Azamar. Like you could call them Voidborn or the Unlucky or the Cursed, depending on how rude you want to be. Demonborn, if you want to be real rude. Maraborn. There's a bunch of different names for them. Most of them are mean.
I could see each of you in your own right being tried and tested heroes of your particular cultures. Berg for the orcs, you for the humans, religious types, perhaps. Giant kin for your friend. A dwarf would be nice to have as far as leadership. It would be great to have a tiefling for the lower caste of society.
Have we had a dwarf in the party since Baron?
I don't think so.
I don't think we have either. There was like the briefest hint of dwarf, and then nothing for 2.5 years. Interesting. Because I was thinking about that. I was like, I don't think we've really detailed like dwarf stuff all that much. Yeah.
I'm thinking of a council of champions. One representative who holds sway over their people. Come together and show that we can all unite under one flag against a common evil. That I could see working.
Yeah, you could have your meetings at Elrond's house. He's always down to have visitors.
A group. What would you call them?
A group of
Perhaps
fellows.
9 of them. A ship full of fellows.
Fellas together.
Oh boy. Yep.
Well, I mean, honestly, it seems
So
like
that's-
it's
so
somewhat feasible.
10 Pillars is offering up basically a theory for Ramus, right? This idea that like one person can't do it, but if you could get people on board who could speak to their individual cultures or whatever, then you would have a better chance at doing something like this. Yeah.
It would require weaving a grand story, exaggerating parts that need exaggeration, like you said, like you writing your life story.
Mm-hmm.
We wouldn't honestly have to exaggerate very much. From what I've seen of this army and stories I've heard, you will serve them whether alive or dead. Once dead, there's no stopping the necromancer.
This is very true. I've seen the horrors down in the library.
When Ramus, and I think I hope you're ready, Max, but when Ramus said, I've seen the horrors down in the library, I think this is a great time for Berg to come back, right? Door opens, Berg comes in.
Yeah.
Okay. So where I guess you've been, you don't have to tell us where you've been, but when you walk into the scene, what do we see? Like when Berg comes back to like rest, what do we see?
I think Berg went to go get some food. Perhaps maybe maybe he snuck around and grabbed something that's like a little bit nicer food, whatever that might be.
Yeah, so like you're coming up from the library and going back to the barracks is like a complete inversion of everything you've experienced since you got here. People used to like kick you and make fun of you and like be like, what are you gonna do, toothless old man? You're weak. You can't fight me. Give me your soup, right? But now you're like 2.5 feet taller, and everybody just like runs from you. They do whatever you want. All you have to do is just growl at them, and they're like, oh, I'm sorry. And, you know, it doesn't matter. They're not calling you by your real name. You barely even remember your own name now. Now you're Berg. Big, strong, handsome Berg. And everybody gets out of your way. And so, like, you could come back with, like, a lot more food than you could eat just because people gave it to you, right? Or, like, you just growled at someone, like, oh, please take my pork bun. Don't hurt me.
Yeah, he's probably like stuffed with like a decent amount. It might not be like just completely overflowing, but you see like he's got like a bowl of some like soup with noodles and things like that, and other just like, little trinkets of food that he's grabbed, just gorging.
Okay, sorry, Miss. That's Ramus and 10 Pillars. That's what you see. You see Berg come back, arms full of food, just jamming it into his mouth.
Hungry Berg?
Yes. Food is good.
Good of you to join us, Berg. We were just discussing the future of the courts.
Would real quick, Adam, would the old man be well aware of 10 Pillars? I can't remember the timing there. And
Yeah. So the old man knows that 10 Pillars is that fancy guy who is asking everybody questions. And 10 Pillars had a conversation with the old man before, but the old man didn't know anything. 10 Pillars just gave him a pittance, which then somebody beat him up and took. So you remember getting some money from this guy to like answer some questions. You tried to help him, and then right away somebody jumped you behind one of the buildings and just beat the shit out of you and took your money.
I just wanted to make sure I understood where like any interaction may have happened with 10 Pillars.
You maybe don't remember his name, but he's like that fancy guy from the kingdom to the north.
Yep.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
We're discussing a possible alliance. Champions from each part of the court. Races, religions, perhaps. Choosing one to stand for their people, coming together to fight a common evil.
I see.
Champions? What the hell is he talking about? I have no idea. What?
What do you want with me? With it?
As we discussed before, I would like you to champion your people.
Right.
Ramus will be his. Gather up a council. Perhaps we have a way to unite and defend ourselves. But we are wasting time. This idea is just that, an idea. And this is not the proper location to discuss it. Ramus, can you get my message? I will write it down for you.
Mm-hmm.
Can you get the message to my superiors in the Court of Coins? If I gave you a name, something like that, what would you need from me?
I would need. Let's see. I would need the name of someone important in a church that you trust. That I have to know. I know of the leaders of the churches, but I don't know much other people in the Court of Swords. I'd have to know which priest to send the message to. Who you trust to give it to the right people.
Very well. I'll take my leave to compose my note. I will come back with the message and the name. I don't know. Do you need anything else from me to help you prepare for this?
I don't think so. I think that is enough. Just it has to be 25 words or less, the message.
Very well. Then I will return after I have some time to compose and supper. Say a little after sundown. That sound all right to you?
Fine with me.
All right. And I take my leave. Go back to my chambers, my quarters next, like basically next door, right?
The apartment next door, yeah, or across the hall. Yep.
Yeah. I order up like a light supper and sit there and ponder the 25 words
and
I can use.
This is the thing, right? Where you and Ramus have both kind of like learned or noticed this very human hypocrisy in the like work camp / military base, in that the Mara and like Gravedirt are preaching this like, we will throw off the shackles of heaven. You know, life matters now. Do with it what you can. Everyone is equal in the eyes of death, but most of you have to live in a sardine can, and then I get to be princess of town in the nicest house, and you are the princess's guests, and you have servants and stuff. They're not really servants, because they're just like villagers that were brought here and assigned duty to like to attend to you. But like, yeah, you have fine meals or fine-ish meals brought to you, and everybody else has to fight over like bullshit in the barracks. So there is this deep imbalance, but I don't imagine that you're going to be like morally opposed. You're not gonna be like, I have to go live with the schlubs. You're gonna like enjoy the nice house, I assume, right? So okay, so you do that. Berg and Ramus, when 10 Pillars leaves, Ramus, you just go back to studying. Do you talk to Berg? Like, what does that scene look like after 10 Pillars leaves?
I think I go back to jotting notes and just tell Berg that there's to not make a mess in the room with all that food he's hoarding over there. Are you feeling all right, Berg?
Why? But why?
I've been with you for many years, and you just seem just a little bit off. I don't know.
Maybe it's because of the ghosts down below. Not every day you fight ghosts in a weird library. Takes it out of you.
It's true. We don't fight them very often.
This whole place is weird. Surprised I could even find some good food.
Yeah. What? You have a very interesting selection there. Did you get all that from the barracks? That's a lot.
Little here, little bit there.
All the food I can get now.
Hmm.
Do you want some?
I'm fine with my wine over here.
What kind of wine?
Yeah, there wasn't any wine in the barracks. You haven't had wine in forever.
Yep.
Oh, just the Court of Wands variety. Not the best, but it'll do.
What the shit? He has Court of Wands wine? I have to get some of that.
Do you mind if I have some?
You never seem to care for this stuff. If you want to try it, that's fine. Here, you can have.
You
Pour you a little
offer.
glass. Oh, I have offered. Don't you dare take that tone. Here you go. You can have a glass.
Fuck yes.
Now,
Fuck
Ramus, do
yes.
you? Now, hold on. Ramus, do you pour him a glass, or do you hand him the bottle, assuming he'll pour his own glass?
I think I pour him a glass and then, but it's not like a proper wine glass. It's like a little cup of that water was in there at one point. Just so it's
Yeah, the
just
Court
not
of
even a
Wands.
proper glass.
The Court of Wands doesn't have a lot of room for vineyards, so their wine would be like a honey wine, probably. Like North African kind of like honey wine. So yeah, a smaller glass would make sense. And
Be
Burgit
careful,
is
it can be
delicious. Yeah, it's very, very good. And upon finishing this tiny glass in your huge burly hand, you could drink like 10 more of these. You could drink that whole bottle right now.
Oh my god, that was the best thing I've ever put in my mouth.
Do you, care if I have more? Very good.
You can pour yourself another. Just don't bother me.
Okay.
He just grabs the bottle and like kind of shuffles over to his side of the room.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So Berg takes the wine bottle and just like crab walks away from you and just like drinks it. All right, cool. So darkness starts to fall over the camp, and the sort of night shift takes over. And Maharib, you return to the monastery, right? You come back from that last stretch of jungle, and initially there are the guards, right? They spot you and start to kind of be like, oh, and then they realize like, oh, okay, it's Maharib. We know this person. You're allowed to come back. So you pass through the sort of, it's not even like a perimeter. I guess it's like a security perimeter, but it's not like there's walls anymore. You get there and the walls are all still falling down, but they've made a good amount of work in the time you've been gone. So you get back and you are allowed entrance into the camp. And as before, there is this big like camp outside of the walls, the reconstructed walls, of people who are waiting to get in, people who are arriving, every day. And so you get back in. There are a few kind of like angry glances, some like frustrated looks as you get to skip the line. But yeah, you make your way up to the gates, and they let you in.
Great. I would think it's late at night, right?
It's dark now. Yeah.
Okay.
I think you got there as it was getting as it was like finally like finishing daylight. The last remnants of that kind of orange haze on the horizon has now faded by the time you get here.
Okay. Maharib would most likely go to the barracks, thinking that's where Ramus and Berg have been. So I make my way there through the plaza.
Okay.
And,
Yeah, you head over there. Make a perception check.
Okay. 9.
Okay. All right. So we see this, but Maharib doesn't. You walk past two like laborers, and one of them has a big like gold necklace on. The other has a bunch of rings, and they're showing off their stuff to each other. One of them's like, "Oh, your necklace is so big. Yeah, look what I got. I got 3 rings. All I had to do is answer some questions. I don't know. This guy's just giving out money." And you walk past them. You don't hear them. You got stuff on your mind, so they just go by to go work, and it sounds like peasant babble to you. But you get back to the barracks, come inside, and you've arrived just as the day shift is like getting ready for rest. So people are kind of like sitting and talking, smoking, picking the remains of their dinner out of their teeth. And there is this general kind of tired but camaraderie kind of feeling in the amidst the that's right, the gong throng. So you walk in and you see this, and a few laborers like look up. A few people recognize you. They give you like a nod or a little kind of like a wave. But that's about it. You don't see Berg or Ramus around.
Do any of the laborers seem like they're in charge, or is it just kind of a hodgepodge of laborers, right? Just eating dinner?
It's just like a chaotic kind of mess right now. Yeah.
Okay. Where are they getting the food from? Is someone serving the food?
There is a second building that is like a kitchen where they would have gotten their food from.
Okay. I will make my way towards the kitchen, because if Berg and Ramus were to get food, they would have gotten it from the kitchen.
Okay.
So those people would hopefully have seen them. So I make my way to that person.
All right. So you get back to the kitchen, and so the kitchen is a mess hall with, like, I'm thinking of it as like essentially like a prison mess hall. So it's a hall with a bunch of tables, and then a section that connects the kitchen in the back, and then you would get food. So you come up to the counter and you would get like a bowl of congee and a pork bun, and then whatever, like some gailan probably, like salted gailan or something. And so there's that. There's some people sitting. When you come in, it's a little confusing because it looks like there's 2 lines. There's a one with most of the people in it, and then a shorter line. And when you come in, you see the 2 lines, and you see a one-armed woman standing by the door, and she looks at you, and she sees you looking at the 2 lines, and she grins at you as if like, I know something you don't know. I've seen that confused face before. So she just gives you this big grin.
Okay. I'm definitely more confused at her grin than I am at potentially the lines.
Yeah, right.
Kind of.
But you don't see Berg or Ramus anywhere.
Yeah. I side eye her and go about my way. I want to basically cut the line to go up to whoever is serving the food and ask them, like, have you seen a large orc and a priest?
So I think before you get a chance, right, you try to like get around the line. This one-armed woman steps in your way, and puts her hand up, and in accented common, she says, "Where do you think you're going?"
I'm asking the servers if they've seen my friends. Is that a problem?
She looks you up and down. I don't recognize you. I don't think you have any friends in this camp. Well, we could fix that. Everybody's got to have friends. Maybe I can help you. You're looking for someone? I know just about everyone here.
Can I just make an intimidation roll?
Yes. If you just want to be like, get the fuck out of my way. Yep. If you just want to step up and just like do that awful jock bro thing where you just like get your chest as
yeah.
close to them as possible?
Yeah, I just fold my arms. But I have a -2, so it's probably not going to be that intimidating. We'll see how it goes. A 1. Tell me how a 1 goes, Adam.
All right, so you like get up in her face, and she does the same, even though she's like quite a bit shorter than you, right? Like her head is probably at sternum level, and she's only got one arm, and she just gets up in your face too, and she's like, "What? What? You gonna try something? Think you can start a fight in here? And she looks around, and she's like, "I got friends too." And you do see a couple of people now noticing, like, "Oh, Samchai, is somebody causing you trouble?" And like you can see a couple of guys like reaching for clubs, or like, suddenly the tension has ratcheted up where she calls your bluff and is like, "I'm not scared of you. I got lots of friends. What are you gonna do?"
I apologize. I'm just looking for Berg and Ramus Krill. I'm not sure if you know those names. They were here about a week ago before I left.
When you say, you don't get the back half of that sentence out.
Okay.
She slaps you in the face
When I say
you say
Ramus?
Ramus Krill.
Yeah.
Yeah. She slaps you suddenly out of nowhere, right? And it's not like, she doesn't slap you that hard. Your head probably doesn't even turn, but there's like a crack as she hits you, and she points at you and she says, "Master Krill, you give him the respect he is due." And there's like some nodding, like other people are like, "Yeah, that's right."
Where is this Master Krill?
And she looks around and she says, "Master Krill lives in the big house on the other side of the courtyard with his companions."
I think he just kind of leaves. he kind of stares
Yeah.
everyone down, maybe like memorizes faces, and then he just leaves. And he starts going towards the other side of the courtyard.
Mm-hmm.
With the intention of finding this place that she described.
Sure, yeah, and you like, it's pretty easy to figure the thing. You look around, and like before, you know where Gravedirt's like little mansion, her mini the high priest's chambers. They're here, so you can just head on over there. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I head on over there.
Okay. All right. There are guards standing outside the door when you approach.
Outside of Ramus's door, or outside of entrance to the courtyard?
Outside the entrance to the little like house.
Okay. I think I just try to walk by on first approach.
Yeah, as they see you approaching, they step in front of the door.
I'm here to see Master Krill. I was told he's in there. I point towards one of the buildings.
And they look at each other and look at you and kind of like stare, like they don't know who Master Krill is. Ramus, you are a floor up. It's hot, so the window's open. You hear Maharib downstairs. You hear Maharib's voice. It's quiet, I assume, because you're studying or whatever you're reading or writing. And so you hear this low, gravelly voice outside. The guards, I think, look at you, Maharib, and they shake their head and they say, "This is Gravedirt's house. You can't come inside without her permission."
Where's Gravedirt?
One of them shrugs.
I think Ramus goes to the window and looks down and see like what he sees.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So you see Maharib, I assume, looking kind of like
I'm a
you've
little
been
haggard.
traveling.
I've been, yeah.
Yeah.
traveling
Well,
3
not
days
even
in a
like,
row.
well, yeah, like you're pretty tough. So you've been traveling and stuff and you can handle it, but like exhausted in the sense that you're running out of patience for people and their bullshit, right? Like the wilderness is one thing, but this runaround you're getting now that you're back is, I imagine, quite annoying.
Right.
Oh, Mahari, my friend. Hello.
You look up to the
Yeah,
window.
I look up.
What light through yonder window breaks?
Ramus, tell these guards to let me through.
Oh, he's with 10 pillars. Please let him through.
What? Yes.
And
With 10 pillars.
It's me. I've brought all the pillars. I'm here. What? Let me in. So they look at each other and they look up at you. And I think they turn back to you, Maharib, and they nod. And one of them is like, sorry, sir, we didn't know. Reaches over for the door and opens it for you.
You're just doing your job. Who's 10 pillars?
You ask one of the guards?
Yeah. Just very quickly as I'm passing by. Trying to catch up as fast as possible because I have no idea what the hell's going on.
Yeah. One of them says, oh, honored guest from up north. And the other one says, yeah, not for long.
Okay, thank you. I'll be along. I walk by and start making my way towards Ramus's building. Or the building that Ramus is in.
Yeah, so think of it as a 2-story like mansion, essentially a manor house, in a very old traditional Court of Swords like style, which obviously doesn't mean anything, but it's like there are wings, there are like subsections, so lots of different rooms, probably lots of rooms that have shifting meanings. So you come in, and based on where the window was, you find some stairs, you go upstairs, and you find your way to where Ramus is. So it is there's a set of suites on this floor. Most of them, as you walk by, the doors are open and they're empty. One of them, the door is closed, and across the hall, the door is open. And I think, Ramus, you meet Maharib at the door when Maharib comes upstairs.
Ramus, we have much to discuss. Let me inside. Where's Berg?
Oh, and Berg, Berg is also in the room, but you haven't walked in yet.
Well, we have a lot to talk about. We're not going to be staying here long. We need to leave soon.
Did you get the
spend
message?
the night here?
I found a way.
Yes. I am so interested in hearing about it. But come in and take a load off. You've probably been traveling for days.
Yeah, I walk in, like, take off my bag and set it on the ground and turn on. Where's her body? I told you to have it prepared when I got back. Not prepared, but with you.
Oh. I realized that I've been a jerk to you, and I had prepared her body. I thought you meant my love, but I realized you probably meant Amira, and I'm sorry. It was a moment of haste. I was a reaction. I didn't have time to prepare. I just realized my stupidity, and I'm sorry for that.
When you get towards the end of your sentence, you hear, or rather, you see like the axe slam down into the wooden table or something in front of me, and I just like, there's just a loud thud that interrupts your statement. So where is her body, Ramus? They took it. You were supposed to get it back.
I forgot there's been so much going on here. We nearly died in the basement of the library, and there's so much to fill you in on. But it's not been easy while you've been gone. I'm sorry. I forgot all about Amir and all that stuff. Because so much and there's this man 10 pillars here that we have to talk about as well. And I started to go on and on about like what's happened throughout the week, the fight in the basement, who 10 pillars is, trying to catch you up as quickly as I can, like everything that's been going on while you were away.
Yeah, I let you drone on, but I don't interrupt. And I don't interrupt until you get finished. So where's her body, Ramus? Does Gravedirt have it?
It's probably in the place where we keep corpses. It's underneath the high priest's place. Probably downstairs. I don't know.
In this 10 pillars, he's an ally?
We're working on that, but I think he will be a very valuable person for us to have on our side.
When I came in, the guards spoke of killing him.
As I said, we need to leave because his welcome is almost out.
Is there any chance we can leave after we get her body?
I think we could. We could leave now if you really want to, but we need to talk to 10 Pillars first. Tell him that we're leaving and he needs to come with us.
Is Berg in the room this entire time?
Yeah.
What is he just been chowing down?
Drinking that honey wine.
Okay. Yeah, I noticed that you've been like drinking a lot as I've been in the room, and just Berg, are you drunk?
What?
You seem to be drinking a lot. Is everything? Did something happen that he needs to drink his sorrows away, Ramus?
Big fight
He's
in the library. Very good wine.
He's been very weird ever since the library.
I'm not weird. You're weird. This whole place is weird.
Have you ever heard him sound like that?
I'm not weird. Good wine.
Ramus, it's been a week. What? You did nothing. There's people down in. I got stopped trying to get food to find you, as if they were your acolytes or I don't know.
Oh, there, Sanchai. She's rough, but you'll like her when you get to know her.
Why would I want to get to know her, Ramus?
Well, they may be coming with us.
And why would they be coming with us, Ramus?
Because we're going to the Court of Coins to form a deal and save the world from the Mara threat.
He's making a cult.
It is not such a thing, blasphemer.
He's making a cult.
Do we need to leave tonight or can I rest?
We can rest. It's not like an urgent thing. It's just his welcome is starting to wear out, and we will need to leave. We won't be welcome in this room.
Are there like side rooms in here, Adam, or is it just one big room?
There's probably lots of smaller rooms. Yeah, I think that probably there is like a main communal room, which you're in right now. And then there would be I think that the rooms would have been designed for like communal sleeping. So there'd be like a room with some beds. And then there would be like some other little rooms for just like being alone in, basically. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I grab my bag and start to head towards one of the rooms and turn around. These followers of yours, can they go and see about collecting Amir's body for us? Can you entrust them with that?
I think I've assumed wouldn't be an issue if they grab a corpse. I don't know how much value she has in it, but I told her we'd want it back.
You can do that while I rest. Would be appreciated. You can have the soul. I just want to bury Amira.
Well, thank you, Maharib. You don't know what that means to me, and I will do whatever I can to make it up to you one day.
Yes, you will. I'll walk into the room and slam the door shut.
Well, I mean, there's nothing. That's it. That's the end of this part of the episode. Because, like, what else are we gonna do? Like, yes, you will. Bang. Like, it's perfect.
Cool.
I think we cut to break there. Like,
sounds good. We'll take a break. We'll be back with more Court of Swords right after this. Don't go anywhere. We'll see you guys on the other side in part 2.